I wonder if you've ever been in a room where, as people are talking excitedly, they're speaking romantically about Bible times. You may hear people say something like, "Wouldn't it have been great to be alive when Jesus was on earth?" Or perhaps, "Oh, I would love to have traveled with Paul on one of his missionary journeys." When I hear things like that, I want to say, really? It's time for a reality check, friends. Let me remind you, only one of Jesus' apostles died a natural death. All the rest were martyred. And by the way, if you decided to travel with Paul, you ran the risk of one of the following: being stoned, flogged, imprisoned, or worse still, burned at the stake or torn apart by wild animals. I want to read to you a few verses from 2 Timothy, and as I do, I want to remind you that when Paul wrote these words, he was in prison. Not under house arrest on this occasion, but in a dark, wet dungeon, for which the only access was through a hole in the ground. And he's there awaiting trial and almost certain execution. Listen to me as I read from 2 Timothy 4 verses 16 to 18 from the Message version. At my preliminary hearing, no one stood by me. They all ran like scared rabbits. But it doesn't matter. The Master stood by me and helped me spread the message loud and clear to those who had never heard it. I was snatched from the jaws of the lion. God's looking after me, keeping me safe in the kingdom of heaven. All praise to Him. Praise forever. Oh, yes. Friends, we're at the dawn of 2021, New Year. We've just come through a very difficult 2020 year. Some people call it the COVID year. But I want us to take a moment to look at life, both what's gone behind us and what's ahead of us, from Paul's perspective. I'm referring specifically when he's that close to the jaws of the lion. Yes, 2020 has been a challenging year. The life-threatening virus, job loss, financial crisis, all kinds of family stresses. And it's easy for us to focus on all of that, even while we're still going through some of those pressures. It's easy to get depressed, complain, feel sorry for yourself, get into a corner and have a pity party. But let's look at it from Paul's perspective, that close to the jaws of the lion. Here's Paul, abandoned by all, even his close friends, facing inevitable persecution, certain death, and yet resolute in faith. Listen to his words. My Master is standing by me. And what he's really saying is, I could have been dead already at the preliminary trial if the verdict had been adverse. But I was snatched from the jaws of the lion. I have a little more time. God's looking after me, keeping me safe in the kingdom of heaven. I have a few more days to live. And you know what that does for me? It doesn't just buy me more time so I can consume more oxygen. No. It gives me the opportunity to spread His message to a few more people. All praise to Him. Praise forever. To Him be glory forever and ever, says another version. So friends, let's look at 2021 from Paul's perspective, shall we? If you were that close to the jaws of the lion, what would life look like? I want you to do that right now. Start thanking God for everything you have taken for granted up to this point in your life. You're not in a dungeon, in chains. You're not facing certain death, I hope. Thank God, not just for food, clothing, and shelter. Yes, we're used to doing that. But for every single thing you and I take for granted. Have you ever thought of thanking God for breath, the breath that you breathe? For water in the tap as you opened it? For the miracle of electricity? For soap? Yes, and even toothpaste. Every blessing of God, friends, is evidence that our God is watching over us. Let's decide, regardless of what 2021 holds for us, to make sure we give Him praise, glory, and thanks for every breath that God gives us.